This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Before debating the Yemeni elections, we have this report by our colleague Ihab al-Shawafi, which covers the security measures being taken to monitor the elections.
Questions are being raised about whether Yemen will hold calm and secure elections amidst a politically charged atmosphere, due to the way the ruling party has been conducting its election campaigns and the intensity it has been met with by the joint opposition parties, a situation which might ultimately increase the possibility of potential confrontations, especially in the tribal areas.
I do not expect anything to happen that will harm the country's security during the election process. I do not expect this. If it does happen, then it will be something rare. However, I am 99% sure that the election process will go smoothly.
Nearly 90,000 soldiers and security personnel have been deployed to the voting centers to reduce the possibility of violent attacks, like those of past Yemeni elections. Furthermore, an implied agreement among various groups in the political process to hold an elections day without arms is being widely publicized.
We should not be too optimistic. We should be cautious. We are being very cautious. So we have to expect problems, especially if local authorities interfere or if members of certain candidates interfere. Then problems may happen.
The spread of weapons among Yemeni citizens, coupled with taking firm positions along party lines or tribal allegiances, is sufficient to ignite civil strife. However, it is unlikely that such strife will occur during the election process, despite early concerns expressed by different opposition parties.
There are two sources for these fears. The first is the problems which occurred during the voting process and during the vote count. In past elections, there were many incidents of attacks, threats, and verbal assaults committed by some members of the committees or by members of the governing party. The second source of security fear is the lack of neutrality by the Security Committee.
Yemen is going through a difficult time on its path towards democracy and its choice of a peaceful transfer of power. However, the success of these choices depend on the success of the presidential elections.
The Somali interim president Abdullah Yusuf survived in an assassination attempt when an explosion went off outside the parliament in Baidoa, north of the capital Mogadishu. 11 people were killed in the incident, including the president's brother, and 10 others were injured. The interior minister said that 2 suspects were arrested.
The impact of the explosion that targeted the convoy of the Somali interim president Abdullah Yusuf reaches far beyond the area where it happened. Early assessments indicate that the incident will worsen the situation in Somalia, which has been inflamed for more than 16 years. The explosion will also increase divisions between political opponents in Somalia. These opponents had just completed the second round of negotiations that was hosted in Khartoum at the beginning of this month under the auspices of the Arab League. At the time, these negotiations were considered to be successful because both of the Federation of Islamic Clerics and the interim government agreed to form a unified army and government and to halt all forms of military support to the warlords. The two sides also agreed to stay committed to the agreement of principles that they signed on September 22nd of 2005.
This explosion has the fingerprints of Al-Qaeda. The Prime Minister's convoy was moving when the explosions happened. Some people were injured, but the president was not harmed. The explosion will have catastrophic effects on the peace process if it turns out that the Federation of Islamic Clerics was behind this terrorist attack.
وزير الداخلية الصومالي حسين محمد فارح عديد حذر من سرعة توجيه الاتهامات إلى جهات بعينها.
The Somali Interior Minister, Hussein Mohammed Farah Adid, said it was too early to point the finger at any specific group. Regardless of the identity of the perpetrators, the explosion took place at a critical time since the new government of Prime Minister Ali Mohammed Ghaidi was recently formed after a 2-month stalemate. Also, the people are anticipating the results of the last session of the Khartoum negotiations. The explosion has increased distrust among different groups because everyone is considered a suspect, including the shaky interim government as well as the Ethiopian forces that were recently brought to the country to support the Baidoa government. The Federation of Islamic Clerics will only be exonerated by strong evidence proving that they had no links to the explosion. This explosion shows that solving the Somali crisis needs the cooperation of the international community, including those regional countries that turn Somalia into a battlefield in order to advance their interests and expand their influence.